Good. Wow.
How'd you get here?
Every living thing has this drive inside it, you see, called the will to power.
Just to mention, will to power is a weird translation of it. There's particular reasons that is how it came out. You may recognize a Reich or two that kind of used such a thing. Will to power is very complicated, and it isn't simply a will to being in power. It's not that at all. It's closest to libido or libidinal desire or the sort of drive to life. I usually try to translate it as a will to overcome. When you read through Nietzsche, this is where I've landed with it. Again, people can have their different sort of setup. But for me, when we talk about the Übermensch in Nietzsche, which is like the ultimate version of man, the will to power, the will to overcome is one with him. It isn't that he's like a dictator in control or a uber race or the top of society. It's the Übermensch is someone who's continually overcoming their own shortfalls and able to recognize it. It is like, it's almost like the Alcoholic's Creed of like, let me understand the things I cannot change, have the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. That's more or less what an Übermensch is really about. And so it's much more complex than just this really odd weird to power thing. It's a struggle. Struggle forward is a great way to put it. It's more complicated than just saying will to power. Will to power is a really, I think, oversimplified phrase that especially in the West, we like to think as will to power. It's a will to being on top of the pile. And it's like, no.
That's how it's usually translated. A better translation might actually be the will to agency.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. Agency for, will to agency for Nietzsche would be problematic. He doesn't believe in causation or agency in that sense. It's not what he talks about. It's not his phrasing. So will to agency would be bad.
Or the will to freedom, but the idea is that we all want to feel like we are in control of our lives. We all want to feel like we are powerful and that we are choosing our own destinies. The masters, they know this. They feel like that every single day. On the other hand...
No, this is implying that Nietzsche believed that masters were the Übermensch, which he did not.
We have the slaves. They suck. They're not as strong as the masters. They don't conquer, they don't go out and fight, they're just, betas, losers, incels, conquered peoples. But they still have the will to power inside.
So, I'm just going to let you read the fucking caption here. Those fucking losers, the conquered peoples, losers. Beta Native Americans. Incel Jews. Those fucking loser Palestinians. Do you mean loser trans people? Like fucking what the fuck, man? What the fuck, Abigail? Don't do this shit. Look, people don't have to say things. Do you know that? Like, you don't have to talk. It's really cool. It's this really amazing things where like you get to like go, oh, I don't know about that. And then you're done. Like, for example, hey Brooks, what do you think of the latest Dark Souls game? I don't know, I didn't play it. That's the end of the discussion. I don't have to pretend to know shit or make stuff. That's it. And then that person who does care about that thing can find someone else who does care. If you don't know stuff, you don't have to talk about things. It's a really amazing trick of living. Ugh. Sheep shotguns. I've been doing a whole lot of not talking during this video. It's hard. I've been doing a lot of talking. Nietzsche's a thing I know. I've spent literal years reading Nietzsche and multiple secondary sources and then integrating Nietzsche into other thinkers, and just recently went super fucking deep in Nietzsche because of Klosowski, because Nietzsche's idea of the eternal recurrence and the way that Klosowski turns it into changed my understanding of Nietzsche in a really dramatic way. And it's a stunning, stunning book. I highly recommend. But it's like, this hurts. If she were to go deep into Foucault, I'd be like, fuck, I'm sure it's bad, but I don't know. I've read on the Order of Things. I've read Foucault, but I haven't like studied Foucault. I wouldn't know.
Conquered peoples. But they still have the will to power inside. And they're frustrated because the Chad masters beat them every time. So what do? They get resentful. They get bitter. They get angry. They tell themselves, oh, it's not nature that put the masters on top. No, they aren't naturally better than us. They're on top because they choose to be evil. Not like us virtuous slaves. We choose to be good and kind. We're on the bottom because we choose to be nice guys. Not like the masters who are wicked.
It's close. I still would say this is a bad reading. This is at least closer. This is not that the poor or the slaves say that the masters choose to be evil. It's that what the masters have power to do and what the masters do is evil. There's a difference. Again, think of the sheep and the eagle, which is Nietzsche's fucking example that he uses. A sheep doesn't have the ability to dive bomb out of the sky and kill fucking baby sheep. It's not a thing a sheep does. It's not. I know I've played Goat Simulator. Goats can do that in that game, not in the real fucking world. That's not how it works. So a sheep saying that it has the power to not, I don't dive bomb out of the sky and murder things. That makes me better. That's more what Nietzsche's talking about specifically. That's more what Nietzsche's talking about specifically. The book on eternal recurrence. This is book brag time. This is the book. It is Nietzsche and the Vicious Circle by Pierre Klosowski, translated by Daniel Smith, who does fucking good translations, by the way. Why do I say bragging time? Because I also have a first edition here, which is my favorite cover on any book. That's why I have to show it every time. Is this not the best cover of a Nietzsche book ever? Like, that's fucking fire. And then I also have to brag because this doesn't exist as far as the world knows. This is the first edition hardcover, which as far as the world knows, there isn't one. So it's been one of my favorite things that I've found. The book is dedicated to Gilles Deleuze. It's that kind of book. Very, very, very good book. At some point, I am going to do a reading of it. I need to read it genuinely probably 2 more times and have my notes and everything. Yeah, I'm pausing to brag. I book brag. That's fine. I'm a sad, pathetic nerd. Get used to it. Back to the sheep. The actual frustration for the sheep is not that the eagle dive bombs. It's not really it. Resentment builds out of one's own impotence, the lack of ability to act. And so that lack of ability to act that the sheep has is what happens. The will to power can't overcome that, or doesn't find a way to overcome that. And this transforms it into resentment. This is the setup. I have an entire video defining resentment out that explains it extremely good, by the way. Extremely good. And it's on the channel. Check it out. I'll link it in a minute, but it's like, this is good shit. It's very good shit. I'm very proud of that video. It took a long time to write because it's not an easy subject, which again is fine. But slave morality is not cope. Depends on how, it's not cope. It's not the same thing. Not the same thing.
Cope. Slave morality is cope. That's what Nietzsche said.
No, it's not.
And it would have stayed cope too, were it not for the priests.
See, here's the thing. The priests, it would have stayed cope. The priests keep it as cope. Like, that's the whole fucking point, is that they're part of it.
The priests are from the noble master group, but they're not as strong as the other masters. They don't go out and fight and conquer, and they get resentful too. The priests come up with this elaborate system of beliefs according to which the real value of things is in the hereafter. It's not here, based in the world. You forget about fighting and conquering and winning. That's bad, actually. You should feel guilty for doing that. You should feel ashamed for doing that.
That's not true. Then how come the priests help send people out to die in droves for kings? Because it's not fighting and killing. This is so stupidly oversimplified. It's so fucking frustrating. Nietzsche didn't write about like the Crusades and go, well, the priests were walking around telling everyone that like fighting's bad. No, fighting's very good. For God and country. For God and country. For God and country. Your reward for that will be in the afterlife. This is what the priests did. It's not that conquering is bad, it's that conquering, you enacting yourself, visiting, doing things. Again, you're slaves. They would fucking kill you. They would kill you if you did stuff. This is, again, there's this really weird sort of victim blaming shit in the way she's talking about this that is digging at the side of my fucking head that I can't get away from. But that's what she's playing with here. Because it's not that the priests... A person can stand up and say, you're not my master, and they'll be killed if they're a slave. The priests, and so because of that, because they can't, they're not allowed to act. They could. They absolutely have that power, but they choose not to. They don't choose not to. They don't have the power. Potentias potestas. Potentias is the Latin verb, and this is Spinoza. Spinoza's worth reading for this. Potentias is what it sounds like, the potential power. Think of it as literally potential energy. Like it's that kind of thing. You have that potential energy, and it means you have that in theory capability, right? You have the energy that can do that. But potestas, this is the allowed to, or cannot, or will not. There's a secondary part of that. These two need to coincide. If they don't, you start getting this fucked up thing. So when a child wants to eat candy, and they could, it's right there. What's mom going to do? She's going to hit me if I take candy? So he takes it because he has the potential. He has the power to do this. But at some point we go, you can't, and we need you not to, and you need to learn how to handle yourself a little bit better. Now he's got no ability to do that, not allowed to. It's not the same as slaves, but now it's potestas and potentias are the two parts. This is the challenge of talking about this in terms of like, opening it up to this wider thing, making it about incels. There's so much more complex things going on. Master slave is specifically about master slaves, two-tiered caste-based society. We don't have a caste-based society, not like they really do in, say, India, which, again, she's going to talk about how much Nietzsche loved these other things. Fucking no, we're just unreal. But it's just really, really stupid. This is stupid.
We're back to the almond castle again. The priests say that real virtue is in self-denial.
So no, this is again, it's not in self-denial. It's that you're virtuous because you're denying yourself, but you're denying yourself because you do not have the power. This is the layers of these things and as they grow. And so what happens is the priest, by teaching you that your virtue is in self-denial, a thing you don't have, let's say you don't have any food. And so you don't have any food and you see someone who's a glutton and you go, God, they're so wasteful. I'm never wasteful. I do not waste any food. But you don't, because you barely eat anything. You're fucking starving all the time because you're poor. That resentment is it. The priest comes along and says, well, actually, you don't eat because you're a better person. You didn't think that before, but now you do. This is adding to that. It's not that priests say that virtue is in self-denial and that you need to practice self-denial. It's saying that you have a virtue, because you don't act in a way that you can't act anyway, because you'd be killed. This keeps you in line. That's the setup. It's far more complex. If you wind back PhilosophyTube catalog, it's not the first bad philosophy take. Genuinely, I don't think a single one of her videos are good on philosophy. As I said when I opened it, and most of you were here, I don't know how I'm maintaining this view count, but the reality is her videos that are not on philosophy, I actually have found pretty good generally. Like, they're not great. They're not my favorite thing ever, but I've watched a handful and they're good. The one on trans healthcare in the UK is, I thought, spot on in a lot of ways. Her take on Kant alone was the first time I was really introduced. It's horrifying. This is, I think, much worse. But again, that was because the Kant one was more like, hey, it's like a 7-year-old reading Kant for the first time and getting stuff wrong. This is misusing it in order to literally do the point that's the opposite of what Nietzsche wanted to get across, which infuriates me more. That doesn't invert, she didn't invert Kant in her other video. Like, she just got it wrong and it's just complete nonsense. This is inverting. This is saying that the masters are good, living in the moment moral, and the slaves come along and it's like, fucking no. This is about the complexities of society in a lot of ways.
The real virtue is in doing what the priests tell you to do, those experts. The real value of things is in what they say about objective reality. Instead of looking at the world from your perspective, seeing things through your own Chadley eyes and obeying your instincts. That's how the priests express their will to power.
Jesus fucking Christ. No.
That's how they keep the stronger masters under their control.
Oh, this gives me headaches. This gives me so many fucking headaches. I gotta find quotes. This is just the way it's gonna go now. One thing I should have done before I jump into this every fucking time. It's just terrible, Brooks. It's terrible. Give me 2 seconds, everyone. Sorry. For some reason, I have my search database on my computer is not showing up. Ugh. So frustrating. It's so frustrating. I'm gonna have to go find the actual thing and fucking pull out the quotes. My computer's searching. I have too many PDFs. Download a fresh one, I guess. Cambridge is fine. This is what I have. This will work. All right. Ascetic priest, blah, 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 blah. I know, it's third essay. Come on. All right, this will work. Just going to pull this up and we're just going to see what we can do about just accepting. Where do I want to start? Do I even want to go down this fucking road? Because this has the language in it that makes it tough. Because he's talking about, when he talks about priests, he talks about Jews, but he's talking about Christians. Difficult. shit. This is not the kind of thing that I want to get clipped up doing, because he's talking about the original Christians and the way that the Christian warriors and Christian priests, who were 100% and called themselves as such Jewish, by the way. Christianity wasn't really a religion at first. Jesus didn't walk around and go, now you're all Christians. That's what I've named it. Because of me, I'm here. Like, it's like not what they did. They were playing with that thing of like what it meant for him to be King of the Jews, for God's sake. That's what they called it. So it's challenging to sort of have those conversations as a thing. Right? The masters deposed, the morality of the common people is triumphed. You might take this victory for blood poisoning. It mixed the races up. I do not deny it. Undoubtedly, it's that kind of language. It's a lot of shit like that. And I don't feel like getting into it today because it's its own reading. Yeah, exactly. Secret Agent. Clip in time. I will be skipping that. But again, genealogy of morals. I want to say chapters 6, 7, and 8 are going to be where all this is. It's worth reading all of those bits and reading it straight through. The priests were able to keep, and it's, again, to say that the priests had the slaves under their control presumes that they were then working with the masters in kind of a conspiratorial societal thing. And there's some way he talks about it like that, but that's, again, not really what his point is and not really what this is about. These three components of society we find today. We don't have to have slaves, masters, and priests. He's talking about these categories of those who have bad conscience, those who prey on the bad conscience, and then those who have good conscience. This is just to steal straight up. This is Spinoza shit. This is in his ethics. This is just in there. So when you start talking about today, let's talk about Trump. Fucking easy example. You have the masters, you have the billionaire class and the wealthy who are able to exact and have a huge amount of power to exact their will in a bunch of different ways. They have potestas and potentias. Elon Musk is literally walking into buildings that he should not be allowed in, and that by law he's not, but again, doesn't matter because he has the allowances from those in power. The slave class, which I would say is pretty much everyone else, are feeling like we're impotent, and we're so furious that Elon Musk is doing these things that we could just go do. Like we can go do, we don't really do anything. Most people don't really do very much about this. And we have the priest class, the media class for us, but this would be on both sides. There's the Jordan Peterson and right wing Ben Shapiro's type who are talking about how good it is that we're accepting pain. If you haven't noticed, the language for the Trump campaign has shifted now that food prices didn't go down, because they didn't, and actually inflation went back up, by the way. They're saying this is just the pain that it needs to be accepted. You just don't have as much money. Things have to get worse before they can get better. Your reward will come later. Is that familiar? Or on the liberal, progressive side, where it's like, hey, look, this is just going to be a very difficult time for trans people. I understand that, but you need to do what you can. Please donate to Act Blue. I know we can't do much else. There's just not much else we can do. It's how we get fucked. It's just how we get fucked.
And when the priests trick the slaves into
I hate this term.
up their beliefs,
tricking is, again, fuck.
They team up against the masters. And what do you get? Jesus.
Sort
Nietzsche
of.
hated Christianity. Christianity makes a virtue out of weakness and meekness and self-denial and sickness. Oh, the meek shall inherit the earth. Yeah, I bet they will. Right after they're done sucking the life out of everybody else. Just go and...
When you do sarcasm, if this is sarcasm, like I can't even fucking tell anymore, you've got to do it. Like sarcasm, unless you're very good at it, and again, Abigail Thorne's a terrible actress. So there's no expression as a thing. It's very limited. There's like two faces. It's the same kind of shit over and over. You've got to do it right. And generally speaking, be very careful when you do it when it comes to, the realities of oppressed people, unless you have a way to do that.
denial and sickness. Oh, the meek shall inherit the earth. Yeah, I bet they will. Right after they're done sucking the life out of everybody else. Just going on and on about...
Yeah, actually, that's a good question. Why is the bimbo the priest? I don't know that meme. I don't care. I don't know why I care. It is a very strange... So we're going to put a bunch of stickers of things up. We're going to slap up images, and we've got tape on the back of them. We've got this big wall. What do we want next to it? Well, we want Jesus next to will to power and woke. And Mussolini next to the masters. And Hitler next to Jesus. If you're going to, it's a thing. Look, this was not done live. I'm doing this live. I have very little time to prepare, as you can see by not even having PDFs up. But if you're doing a recorded thing and you have what is genuinely a 5 to 10 person production crew and someone else writing your scripts and doing all this, take a little bit of time to plan out where things will go. So at the end, there's like a clever reveal or a way that all of them turn into the shape of something, or that you make a larger point. It'd be great. Just take time. Everything's worth doing right, especially if you have 1.6 million subscribers. I have less than 1%. I have 1%. I have just over 1% of that.
Charity and pity and their lies. That's right, he said it. He said it. Lies about heaven. God is dead, Nietzsche said. No.
Nietzsche said God is dead. That's not a fucking weird thing for him to have said at the time, by the way. It's not like Nietzsche declared God dead. He wasn't the coroner in the religious space. If you read it, the actual point is not about God being dead. God being dead is like the boring thing to him. Instead, it's God is dead, and here we are, still walking through his corpse as through caves. The things that a God, a Christian God, gave us in the West, that we don't even realize are part of that ideologically, right? The idea of spirit versus body, the mind-body sort of dichotomy, soul, the idea of a soul or an individual soul. These dichotomies are part of the Christian faith and religious faith, Jewish faith, that we are stuck with. So even though God is dead, we still have his corpse. This is the underlying point. It's not him being a weird Reddit atheist thing.
Nobody believes in him anymore, so why are we all still acting like Christian morality is a good idea?
He literally answered that in that quote. God is dead, and we still keep his morality alive. Jesus Christ.
Junk.
That's how you know people don't read these books. It's literally the fucking sentence. This one I know. This one I don't. God damn it. This one I'm sure of. I have to be able to. It's not even on Goodreads. It's like the first one. Jesus, good Christ. It's literally the first thing on Goodreads when you search this quote. And it's just, this is why this shit's frustrating, because it's like, even if you didn't read it, how do you not Google the thing and get it up there? And here it is. It's right here. It's, boop, boop. God is dead. God remains dead, and we have killed him. How shall we comfort ourselves, the murderers of all murderers? What was holiest and mightiest of all that the world has yet owed has bled to death? No, fuck you, Amazon. God damn it, fuck you. Has bled to death under our knives. Who will wipe this blood off us? What water is there for us to clean ourselves? What festivals of atonement, what sacred games shall we have to invent? Is not the greatness of this deed too great for us? Must we ourselves not become gods to appear worthy, simply to appear worthy of it? The entire piece is about how, like, it's still part of us. You don't kill God and then he's like, cool, it's been good. We'll see ya. It's been fun.
Garbage. Get rid of it. Get it out of here. Do you know what that stuff does to you? It makes you degenerate. Technical philosophy term.
Also not a term he used because it's English.
Not a Nazi thing. Maybe? Put a pin. in that. We'll come back to that. I'm gonna come back to you, Hitler. Nietzsche said that Christianity gives you the feeling of power, like you've got all the right answers, but it doesn't give you any actual power. You're just following a set of resentful slave cope rules that are designed to keep you down and squash all your desires down inside you by calling it sin. So you waste your whole life suppressing your own childly instincts, all to get into a heaven that isn't even there. And someday soon, we're all gonna realize this. Someday, the ultimate based Chad, the Ubermensch, the Overman, is gonna come and redeem all of society from this bloodless, brainless, hopeless, gutless, spineless.
Sorry. I disassociated. So what's this video? Let's watch. This is not...
Someday soon, we're all gonna realize this. Someday, the ultimate based Chad, the Ubermensch, the Overman, is gonna come and redeem all of society from this bloodless...
Now, so one, the Overman is not going to redeem society. The Ubermensch internally will be working within society and will be tearing apart. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, Brooks. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up, Brooks.
Brainless, hopeless, gutless, spineless, boneless, godless, sexless, loveless, waste of my mother time! Good. Do I have...
See? Do you get the joke? It's hilarious. That's why the music stopped and they're pretending they're having a fourth wall breaking moment, even though it's in the script. Ha 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 ha.